I'm part of a team of people that runs the rehearsals for the Blue Devils, particularly at the end of the night when all three aspects of the drum corps come together. It's a really interesting job. It's very challenging. The nature of the drum corps itself, doing all of the new things that we do each year also creates new things for us to solve from the ensemble standpoint. Each year brings some really interesting challenges. A lot of them have to do with just where people are on the field when they're playing the parts they're giving, trying to get that entire, I think of it like a puzzle, trying to get the puzzle to fit together just the right way each time. And the thing with human beings is the shapes of the pieces of the puzzle are always changing. And so you have to kind of go back and massage them and get them to fit together just right again. So I sort of visualize the process in that way. And I also think of it as sort of like running a mixing board. You're trying to get all of the sounds to come to the audience in exactly the way that the designers intended them to come. And once again, you know, we're dealing with kids on a field who are being asked to do incredibly difficult things. And so just finding ways to make all those elements come together where the designer's intent is realized is super challenging. But it's an exciting challenge, and it really makes you think, and I really enjoy that process. The show is based on the material of Igor Stravinsky, The Rite of Spring. For people who know that music, they're going to hear elements of that music within the show, but I think what they'll find incredibly fresh and new is all of the different treatments of that actual music and the involvement of new styles, things that you haven't heard perhaps in drum corps through electronics, and sampling and voicing and mic'd soloists and those kinds of things. It's paced really well, it goes by quick, and there's really no dull moments in the show. There's always something going on for the listener. If you were just to be listening to it, you know, on a headphone set, I think you'd find it incredibly interesting, let alone adding in all the visual elements to it. There's a lot of variety. There's a lot of texture, there's a lot of power, it's got a little bit of everything. Things that challenge us are not things that I think you can lay the foundation of on any one person or one area. They're usually a product of the process, of the schedule, you know, being able to put together a production on the road, constantly adding things in, always presents challenges. So, you know, as far as finding a criticism for last year's show, you know, you always have the little things that you wish would have gone just a little bit better in terms of the performance of the group on the last day, but you never really have complete control of that puzzle, the way it finally comes together with that. So, you know, that being said, you know, of course, there's little things that you would love to have seen be just perfect, you know, as it was in each of those individual rehearsals, but sometimes it doesn't always come together. And so this are those little moments, you know, that you can be critical with, and it's hard to step back from my perspective and watch the show and enjoy it for what it is, because my job is to pick it apart. No matter how good it is to try to pick it apart. And so, you know, if there was any criticism that I could say, you know, an X move or X part of last year's show, we weren't exactly together, but I think the end product was fabulous and no regrets. You see more and more, as somebody who's been in the teaching field for nearly 20 years, you see applications come across the table, and when you're getting ready to hire somebody and they say they were a member of this organization or that organization, and knowing the activity and the nature of it, you know, that can be a real plus on somebody's resume, you know, knowing that particularly that they've been around something that is that high level. You know, they have exposure to how it's done at the highest level, and they can, whether their job is to come and teach a beginner class or, you know, teach the marching band at the high school, they're going to come in with a pretty high level of achievement in mind with whatever project that they happen to come across. The performers that we have are they're incredibly talented, they're incredibly responsive, and they make the job that we do something that is, you can realize, a show like this could not be done without the type of kids that we have. I think they come into this with a lot of experience under their belt. Typically they've been someplace before, have had performance experience, But what they get out of this is it's something new. When they come, they know they're going to be challenged. They know they're going to be asked to push themselves perhaps a little further than maybe they've pushed themselves before, as the design team does and as the teaching staff does. We're all constantly trying to push the edge. So they definitely come away with a sense of doing something that perhaps they didn't know that they could really do. So it's really profound, I think, for a lot of the kids who come through the program.